Special interview time for Around the Turnbuckle. I'm the Big Albowski with my broadcast colleague. I can say that now, Professor Keith. And we're here with the one and the only, the QUAKERTOWN hero, Roadblock. What's up, man?
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
This is a long time coming, brother. We've been trying to get you for a while. Now we got you, and we're here. So first and foremost, once upon a time, Roadblock was a fan like the rest of us before he became a wrestler. So tell us that story. Tell us how you got into wrestling in the first place.
I was like 4 or 5 years old, flipping the channels one day and caught WWE from Ag Hall. I see Tony Atlas on there, and it's like, oh my God, this guy is just a specimen of a man. Well, my dad took me to Ag Hall, and my dad hated wrestling. But if you know Allentown, Ag Hall was in Allentown, and the Army-Navy store, which my dad was a very big gun guy. He made guns, collected guns. He would drop me off at Ag Hall, and I was with friends and stuff. Well, then he would come and pick me up after the show. Well, one thing led to another. I wound up becoming really good friends with Tony Atlas. And he would call my house, tell me when the show was, and I would just go around the red doors, back of Ag Hall. He'd be waiting there for me. I'd go right in the locker room with him, and I'd be in the locker room until he went on. Then I'd come out and sit in my seat.
Wow.
And that's how I got into that. Was my start into wrestling.
So when did you decide you wanted to actually get in the ring, and who trained you? Who did you seek out in order to get there?
Actually, I didn't seek anybody out. I played semi-pro football up until I was 40 years old.
Wow.
To give you a little hint, I was an old guy getting into wrestling when most people are looking to get the hell out.
Right.
And, Mongoose, Mike Picari, was one of my good friends. He had a little training center going on, and one night he was going to train with somebody. They didn't show up. I knew enough how to lock up, do certain things. I didn't know a whole lot, but I knew enough, to go through some of the basics.
Right.
Well, that's how it all started. I start locking up, going through some basics, and one thing led to another. 3 weeks later, I had my very first match actually with him.
Against him?
Yeah.
Where was that, and how'd that go?
That was in that was a Merchant Square Mall in Allentown, PA. It was a 5-minute match. It was fun. He cheated, hooked the tights at the end. I missed the big splash in the corner. Took a little heel stuff.
Yeah, for a guy who and I've known him. It's funny, small world, because I've been friends with him for 30 years, and I only just met you through coming down to these shows. But it's awesome to hear that, because I know that he broke several people that work here into the business, Brick House being one of them, and so it's cool. We had him on a couple of weeks ago, and he had so many stories. He filled up our hour before I could even ask a question. You know what I mean?
Yeah, good guy. Really.
Yeah, and he is great. And his son does a podcast. He had me on his podcast. So it was really cool. But he asked me. He's one of the guys, one of the 100 guys that asked me, when are you going to interview Roadblock?
Yeah, unfortunately, when it comes to the computer and all that internet crap, I am not one of those guys. I'm so old school. It took me 6 months how to learn to turn my cell phone on. So,
well, I hope you get to watch this somehow, some way, maybe on your TV, on YouTube, because we're on YouTube. So
yeah, I mean, I'm better now. I get on the YouTube and all that stuff. So I've come up with more of the times, and I'm still an old school guy.
So I mean, are you originally from QUAKERTOWN?
I was born and raised in QUAKERTOWN. I lived in QUAKERTOWN until I was 13 years old. Then I moved, and then when I was in my 20s, I moved back to the area, and I lived in the area until I was like 30, 36, 37. Met my current girlfriend now, and I live up in Schnecksville area.
So, Mongoose had a bunch of stories. I'm sure you have a ton. Is there ones that stick out right off the bat? Like, hey, I don't even have to ask about. Like you might have told a bunch of people many times, but you never told us.
Actually, I'm getting back to Tony Atlas. The first time I ever wrestled Tony, I weighed 360 pounds at the time. Wow. I was a big boy. And Tony, if everybody knows Tony likes to do the hip toss thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm. He goes, at your size, are you going to be able to get
up and over?
Yeah. I go, Tony, you throw the arm out. I said, I'll get up and over. Well, he did it 3 times with me. And the third time, my ass was up over the top rope. That's how high I got. And he's like, he goes in the middle of the match. I'll never forget. holy shit. And he goes, then somebody goes, look at that fat guy get up. Well, Tony stopped the match right there in the middle of the match. And he looked right at the guy and he goes, if he's so fat, how come he's getting in here and doing this and jumping around? He goes, why don't you just shut up and watch the show? He goes, we're here to entertain you. You're not here to entertain us.
I love it.
That's one good experience I had. I wrestled Jack Molson for the first time when I wrestled Jack Molson. Now, if anybody knows Jack Molson, he's a real big boy.
Right.
We're going along in the match, and he calls for a slam. I'm thinking, okay, he's going to slam me. He goes, no, you're slamming me. And at the time, I was coming in a little over 300 pounds. He's 505.
Wow.
And I picked him up and slammed him. Well, I slammed him, the place went
right, of course.
Because it always works to slam the Giants.
Yeah. So that's another story I had. I mean, first night I wrestled Mongoose, you could feel the electricity and stuff. It was a short match, but it was fun.
Oh. Did you get him, like, how, I don't want to ask how old he was, but how far into his career was he, do you think, at that point?
I'm going to say he was probably, I'm going to say like 43, maybe around 43.
But 44. What I mean is like,
ring-wise,
it was one of your first matches or your first match. It was your first match, but was he doing it a while before that?
Yeah, he actually took some time off with his job and stuff, and he got back into it. I want to say probably 2 or 3 years before he trained me. Then we were always talking back and forth, and I've known Mike since 1988. So it's, in fact, the first time I ever seen him was right here. They had an outdoor show for Triple WA. I forget who he wrestled, but Tony Atlas was on that show. Jackhammer, all the guys back then were all on that show.
I met him in '94.
Okay,
that's when I met him.
Okay.
But yeah. So fast forward, you wrestled. Your first match was with him. But then, how did you start? Did you just get in league with 3WA? Was this the only place you ever wrestled, or did you wrestle all over the place?
I wrestled a couple other places. With my age, I like to keep myself local. I'm not one for driving anymore. First of all, I get stiffened up after a couple hours in the car, and then I'm really grumpy. As you get older, you guys don't realize this.
I'm 45.
I'm just turned 39, but I'm getting there. My job, I'm shipping over at Walmart. I'm a manager there, but I'm a manager who also has to work and get in there with people. So I sometimes come home. I did an 11-hour shift yesterday. I come home. I texted my boss. It's like, oh, you guys did 1,600. So great today. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't feel great right now. My everything hurts.
Like I said, I work my main job. I work for Lowe's.
Right.
And we usually do about 100 million a day.
Right. Okay.
So I'm receiving about 100 million every day. So I usually don't even take lunch. I'm a 10-hour day.
Right.
I will come home, grab like a 10, 15-minute power nap, and then I go lift for a couple hours. So.
Right. So how long you've been associated with 3WA?
I've been here 10 years.
So tell us about the first time you met Dino Santa.
First time I met Dino was through Mongoose. We actually went to a show in Red Hill, Pennsylvania. Mongoose introduced me to him. I knew Dino for a while coming to the shows and stuff, because I was coming to the shows before I even started training and stuff. And Mongoose told him, hey, I trained the kid. I'm not a kid. I'm 40.
You're 40, a kid in the business.
Yeah, I'm 40-some years old. I was a kid in the business.
Right.
And he goes, if you have anything for him, if you can get him on the show, I'd appreciate it. Well, he didn't have anything at that time, so I'm sitting in the crowd with my wife. I'm, drinking a soda, and I usually don't try to eat past 7 o'clock, so I was trying to eat something real quick. Well, Mongoose comes out and he goes, yo, somebody pulled out of a match. You're in a match. It's like, oh, okay. I said, I'm here. I'm thinking I'm working him again.
Right.
Here I get in the back. I go, well, how am I working? He wouldn't tell me. I sit down. He goes, oh, by the way, you're working Wolfman.
Oh.
I go, oh, okay. Well, I knew how Wolfman worked. He good guy and stuff.
Love Wolf.
So we did our match and everything, and I was just coming off gout. If anybody knows what gout is,
that is.
Got a buddy with that. Yep.
It is the most painful thing that one person could ever go through. So he went to give me the fisherman suplex, and I had no push off.
Right.
So he muscled me up, but when he muscled me up, I slipped coming through, and I came right down. If you look at my pinky,
oh yeah,
my pinky's all messed up. And he goes, and you could hear it.
Crack.
You could hear it break.
Yeah.
Because Wolfman goes, "What was that?" I go, "I think it was my pinky." He goes, "Whatever you do in the middle of the match," he's telling me in my ear, "Because you're in a headlock.
Right.
Don't take the tape off your fingers." I used to tape off my fingers.
Right.
Well, I was so excited because I'm getting to work, one of the guys I've always watched,
Right.
I'm talking to him in the back, and I'm taking the tape off, and I get to, it's like, son of a bitch. I go, in about 30 seconds, it ballooned up like a Vienna saucer. He goes, "I'll take care of you, Wolfman." He goes, he went and ate a couple icicle sticks, and he goes, here's the popsicle sticks. And I mean, that's how he, I never went to a doctor or nothing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Only in wrestling.
Only in wrestling.
Only in wrestling. Are you, even though you have been competing in 3WA, and we'll get to some of your best matches in your opinion, what your best matches were, but before we get there, even though you're competing in 3WA, do you watch mainstream wrestling? Do you watch TV, WWE, anything like that?
I watched WWE for Kevin Owens, fellow fat guy. The guy can work. The guy can work. Look what he did. Look what he did Monday night, coming out looking like Austin. He was dead on nuts like Austin. He moved like him. He had the aneurysms. He had that little accent. As far as I'm concerned, they don't know how to use that guy right.
Yes,
that guy should be pushed. That guy should be right up at the top.
You are 100% correct, and I can't agree with you more.
Yeah. And I watch AEW. I like watching because I like seeing some of the independent guys working.
Guys that you might have known or wrestled.
Yeah. I'm a big Gold Dust fan with Dustin Rhodes for his age.
He can still do it. He wrestled
last
last night on Rampage.
Yeah, I missed it. I was in the middle of lifting, and usually when I'm in the middle of lifting, it's the headset on, and you gotta focus. I'm going to town, so
yeah. I only asked that because like some guys like separate the two. Like they don't really pay attention to that because they pay attention to this.
Yeah.
And it's cool to hear that you do watch it because you're still a fan.
I watch it, but it's like, it's like when I start to see like stuff that happens, like just the occasional fan. Now my girlfriend, she'll come and watch, but she's not. How can I say, like, she doesn't care if she watches it or not.
Right.
But when a person like her can go, "Oh, that's a mess up. That's a mess up." It's like, and those guys are on TV.
Right.
It's like that's kind of
that's what my wife does. My wife will watch it with me, and she'll point out whenever and she calls it a botch. Yeah. So she'll say, "Oh, that was a botch. Oh, that was." So
my girlfriend usually doesn't cuss, but she goes, "There's a fuck up. There's a fuck up."
So let's talk about 3WA. So you met Dino Santa, and you wrestled Wolfman when you didn't think you were going to wrestle. So then from there, talk about the evolution of Chad McCoy. Talk about the evolution of Roadblock. Talk about some of your best matches, in your opinion.
Roadblock got the name when I was playing football. I was a defensive tackle, an offensive tackle, and a fullback. And I played it at 380 pounds. And I could move for a guy my size. I had pretty good hands and stuff. But they would always bring me on as a fullback from 20 yards out so I could just blow the holes open for our running back. We had really good running backs there, fast. But once they were smaller guys, I think the one guy weighed 165 pounds if he was lucky.
Wow.
So if he got, the guys grabbed him, he was done. Well, I'd always tell him, "Follow me. I'm hitting that hole. I'm blowing it open. You should be able to run right through it." So that's how I got the name Roadblock. My first couple of years here, I did a lot of jobbing for Triple WA until I finally got my niche. The Roadblock character came along between a few guys. It's Dusty Rhodes, Hogan. I'm a big Patriot guy. My dad was in the service for 22 years.
Awesome.
So when anything goes down like that, like Patriot-wise, I try to be the guy there because I'm really into the military.
Yeah.
And I try to do a lot for military, veterans and stuff like that. So when people talk shit about them, you're talking shit about the wrong people. These guys didn't have to go to fight for this country. They did because they stood up for something.
Absolutely.
And the Roadblock character sticks up for some of the people that can't fight back. I'll fight for them. Even if I get my ass whooped, I'm still going to stand and fight for this country. Because I love this country. It's the best country in this world.
And that's the cool thing about Roadblock is Roadblock to me, because I've been a fan now of 3WA for 2 years. My first match, my first time I saw you guys wrestle was the 40th anniversary outdoor show during the pandemic. I was invited down by Brickhouse. And so watching you wrestle every month for the past 2 years, this is what I get. You are not only the hometown hero, but you're that patriotic USA guy, come out, you know, get the crowd fired up, because if anything, we're all Americans in the building. So we're definitely not going to, you know, not chant USA when you come out. And they get real excited and hyped up when you come out, no matter what you're doing. But, you know, the first match I saw you wrestle was, at the time, you had the hardcore title. You had the United States hardcore title, it was called at the time. And that's when you lost it to the Cage, I believe. Yeah?
I believe, yes. We did the dog, I believe that was dog collar match.
Dog collar match, yeah.
Yeah, dog collar match. A funny thing coming into that match, me and actually Cage have been feuding for the last 3 years.
Right.
And
his whole career here, right? Basically.
Yeah, basically his whole career, he wanted to pick on the old guy. And I'm a little bit of an old guy that still has, the George Foreman theory. I could still hit pretty damn hard. And, I'm a little bit still tough, and he decided to jump on me, and and he still doesn't want to let it go.
All right.
So, but that was a great match. The story coming into it, I actually popped my shoulder 3 days before that match.
Ow. Oh, wow.
I popped it lifting at the gym and doing something stupid I shouldn't have been doing, but yeah, so that was the story coming in, and nobody even knew it. Even Cage didn't even know
that you were hurt.
And we worked the match.
We wouldn't know it as fans. I was I was in the crowd, and that was my first show. Okay. I wouldn't have known it at all that you were hurt, because you flew around the ring like you normally do.
Yeah, I think I moved pretty good for an older big guy.
Yeah. No, you do. Yeah. And I got to compliment you on that, number one. Number two, let's go back before that, though, because when I became a fan, like you said, you had the dog collar match, you lost the title. Talk about when you won that title. Who did you wrestle? Because I wasn't a fan yet. I didn't know.
Actually, JT Highlander was the United States hardcore champion. I don't try to get into the politics of the Fed. I come do my job. They ask me to do something, I'll do it.
Right.
If it's too stupid, I will say, listen, let's tweak this a little bit. I don't want to go looking like an idiot out there. Yeah. It came down to he wasn't showing up for some reason. Like I said, I don't know why. I don't get into it. And I said to Dino one day, I went actually with him to a show up in York, the Wolfman show, SWO.
SWO.
And I dropped the hint. I said, my character, USA guy, wouldn't it be good, if he had maybe the United States hardcore title?
Right.
To fit in with the character. And we were talking, he goes, yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Nice.
So I actually wrestled Dennis Reaper for a #1 contendership.
Okay.
And if anybody knows who Dennis Reaper is,
I've seen him.
Kid's tough as nails. And he can work. He can work. Well, I wound up beating him for the #1 contendership. And the guy that they were going to have me wrestle for, because the title was vacant. They left the title vacant. And the gentleman I was going to wrestle for the title never showed up. Well, here Reaper's sitting right next to me. We just got done wrestling the month before. And I said, Dino, how about me and him one more time? We'll keep it short because we just had a match before.
Right.
We'll keep it short, and however you want it to go, we'll just do it out there. He goes, okay. He goes, sounds good. So me and him wound up wrestling for the title, and I didn't know who was going over right until I was going out for the curtain.
Wow.
He goes, hey, you're over tonight, spear, whatever you want to do.
Right.
And that's who I beat for the title.
Awesome. So how long did you have that before you lost it to Cage?
I had the belt a little over 2 years.
Yeah, that's a hell of a run in this place, because as you know, I mean, like Wyndham Winthorpe III was like heavyweight champion for like 3 years. Yeah. So how huge was that? Because I was there also at that same show. Tony Batista beat him for the title. Mm-hmm. And so it was like a big deal when he lost it, because he had it for so long. So it must have been a big deal for you had it for 2 years.
Yeah, it was. I mean, just being the United States hardcore champion, or just being the United States champion, and we had the red belt. Look at the lineage of that red belt. Dusty Rhodes held that belt.
Yeah.
Harley Race held that belt. I'm a huge Harley Race fan.
Sure.
My wrestling to me is 70s and 80s.
Right.
A little bit of 60s because I was born in the 60s. So, I caught the tail ending of the 60s. But when I broke that belt out for the first time, everybody goes, the red belt, where did you get that at? I said, I'm bringing old school back to the United States title.
Yeah. And that's what I like about a lot of the guys that are still doing it in their 40s and their 50s is because they have that old school mentality. They have a respect for the lineage that not everybody has. Not everybody even in the business has.
Yeah.
Even guys that are like in their low 20s, they didn't see these guys wrestle back in the 70s or 80s. They weren't even born yet.
I mean, these young guys today want to go out and do a half a dozen, moonsaults and backflips and everything else. Listen, in my day, if you got one big move in the match, that was the finishing move.
Right.
That was your finisher. You didn't have to go. Those guys back then worked the headlock for 5 minutes, worked an armbar, and they did. They slowed everything down so the fans could soak it in. I never said I'm the greatest wrestler in the world, but if you want me to run a storyline, I can tell a hell of a story. And I guess I'm not too bad over working. A lot of guys like working me for some reason. I don't know why.
Because they trust you.
Yeah.
That's what it is. They trust you. You've been here.
I've never hurt anybody in the whole time I've been wrestling.
There you go.
I've gotten hurt. I'd rather get hurt before my opponent gets hurt.
And
even if I hate somebody, legitimately hate them, I will not hurt them in the ring.
And that's where the trust comes from.
They're trusting you with their body,
And that's what a lot of these young guys, I think, forget about that.
Yeah.
They want to go out and do all this stuff.
Right.
And if I come against a young guy, like I've wrestled a couple of them, I've been their first match here, and they're going, I want to do this,
right.
and I go, no. This is I have a standard match for somebody I've never wrestled before,
right?
And I make sure I take care of myself and take care of them,
right?
Yeah. So
that the thing is, and Keith and I have talked about this many times. That generation, all right, the ones in their young 20s right now who are just coming up, they grew up watching guys do that kind of stuff more so because the attention spans are different than it was back then. I could sit there and watch a match, an old WWF match from 1985, and be completely entertained with them working a body part for like 5-10 minutes. We're in that usually they're used to seeing matches that are only 5 or 10 minutes long. So that's the thing.
I think it's also down to, too, a lot of people, and I'm an ECW fan, so I mean, I'm not trying to say ECW is terrible, but I think in some ways ECW maybe wasn't the best influence on people because they looked at what guys were doing and they didn't realize, like, they're doing that like once a month, and then they're taking a month to recover. They're thinking like, oh, well, they're doing all this stuff, and wrestling is, predetermined, and everybody's working together. I don't want to use the F word because we know the F word is not true.
Listen,
but they think that, and then they think, well, it's easy to hit somebody with a chair because you know how to do that and not make it hurt. It's like, no, you know how to do it, not kill someone, but you can't do the magic trick if it doesn't hurt.
Exactly. Look at ECW, though. You had some damn good workers in ECW.
Oh, man.
You had RVD.
Jerry Lynn,
young Rey Mysterio, a young Chris Benoit.
Sure.
In fact, the guy I'm tagging up with tonight, Shane Douglas, one of the greatest workers of all time.
Oh, yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, the guy is one of the greatest workers, one of the best talkers to ever talk.
For the record, I hope he's outside the door hearing him say that.
This guy should be in the freaking Hall of Fame, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but I mean, if he got the invite, he might tell him to F himself. And I wouldn't blame him, to be honest with you.
I met Vince once or twice through Tony Atlas, a good friend of mine, and he was always nice to me. I can't complain. But it's like a 5-minute conversation.
Right. You didn't actually work for him.
No, I didn't work for him. But yeah, I mean, like I said, like you guys said, different generation. We're old timers, dinosaurs,
So you mentioned to me in private one day at a show once after a show. You mentioned a list. You had a list of guys that you wanted to either work or work with.
Yes.
talk about some of those names that you've either already worked with or that are still on this list, because this guy Shane Douglas is one of those guys.
I had a list of like 3 or 4 guys.
Mm-hmm.
My list was Tony Atlas.
Of course.
What you got?
Shane Douglas.
Forgetting.
The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Wow.
And Hogan. That was the 4 guys. Well, we all know I wrestled Tony.
All right.
Wrestling. I'm working with Shane tonight.
Yeah.
Dusty passed away.
Yeah,
Right. And Hogan, Hogan's way will never do it again.
Hogan can barely walk at this point.
I mean, I would make Hogan look like $1 million, and he wouldn't even have to do nothing.
Well, most wrestlers can make Hogan look like $1 million.
Hogan makes Hogan look like $1 million.
Well, listen,
say what you want about his work rate, but I mean, Hulk Hogan's psychology, if you really watch it, is second to none, especially when he turned heel. I would argue some of those matches are probably his best work.
No doubt about it. The guy could work. I mean, over in Japan, look at him over in Japan. When he wrestled Muda over in Japan, he was throwing drop kicks and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Hogan didn't have to do that in the States.
No.
His whole thing was the big body guy, muscular guy, you kick punch, you know. I still like brawlers because I'm a brawler. I like, you know, I if you want me to get a headlock in there or something, I can do all that stuff. Yeah. But I choose the brawl. I like the brawl. And you need some good brawlers every once in a while.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my people that I bring, they're very much into brawlers too. The first time they saw Slayer, they're like, "Yep, I'm a fan now."
So let's talk about Shane Douglas, because it'd be ironic if you walked in as you're talking about him. So how long you met him obviously before the same? You're not meeting him today.
No, I met Shane a couple times before.
And how did it come about that he's here today? Like, I'm not saying like to tell me how he got here, but what I'm saying is that did you get in touch with him? Did you pitch him the idea? Is he excited about it?
I've known Shane for a while. I helped Dino out with him once or twice, you know. And about 3 months ago, Shane was at an autograph signing in Allentown, and I wanted to just go see him because I haven't seen him for a while. I just wanted to say hi. And on my way over, I'm thinking of this idea. It's like, hey, you know, I'd love to tag with Shane. Shane's getting a little older. We'll get something that's a little like instead of a one-on-one match, you know. We'll do a tag team match. Mm-hmm. So I seen him. I said, hey, I want to talk to you for a quick second. And there was nobody at his table. So I said, hey, would you think about coming back to do a show for Dino? He says, oh, absolutely. He says, I love Dino. He says,
that's awesome.
He goes, he treated me good and everything. And I said, well, I have an idea. I said, how about me and you tagging in a match? I've been working these guys for the last couple months, and I said, they keep putting the beat down on me, and sometimes I wrestle 2-on-1 or 1-on-1. Yeah. They always get me at the end. I said, well, I have you come out with me. We're going to even the odds up. And I said, 2 old guys against 2 of these young bucks,
right? And
we're going to still prove that the old guys can still, you know, kick a little ass, you know.
Damn right.
And he was all down with it, and I got his phone number, and then I waited a while because, you know, with life and stuff, you get busy. Mm-hmm. And Dino, I gave him a call maybe like 2 weeks after he gave his number, and I didn't hear back from him. Then Dino got a hold of him, and Dino set everything up, and that's how it became tonight.
So you're getting the second guy on that list that you mentioned earlier, and so how excited are you tonight? Just are you, you know, because I know different guys have told us in all these interviews, and we're going on 2 years doing this show, okay. And so we've interviewed over 100 guys, and I've asked them many different questions, but one I've never asked any wrestler, and I feel comfortable asking you, is how do you feel the night of the show? Because I don't ask them that because a lot of there's a generic answer and then there's the truth. Yeah. You know what I mean?
My mind's thinking about it, but I try not to think about it. Right. I don't let my emotions get like I say. He's just like me.
He's a wrestler.
He's a wrestler. He's a father. You know, he has a regular job. I think he still has a regular job.
You guys are close in age, right?
We're close in age. I'm a few years older than he is. Yeah, I mean, now tonight once I get out there, and I mean, I guess we're doing a Texas Tornado hardcore match tonight.
That's what we heard.
So I'll tell you what,
he hasn't announced that yet, but he kind of let us know.
That's right up my alley because I like the brawl. So those guys are going to get a treat for him tonight.
Awesome.
Yeah, you might have a few tricks. The old guys might have a few tricks up their sleeve.
Awesome. So I'm sure that he's going to see this. after the fact because he made comments today. We did a pre-show. We did a pre-show for this show.
Okay.
We had Dino, we had JT Cage, we had the Hat Guy. He said, his words were, you better interview Roadblock before the match because if you interview him after the match, he's going to be in a hospital bed. So if you can address JT Cage at this moment, feel free.
I'm going to tell you something, Cage. You've been saying this for the last 3 years that you're going to retire Roadblock. You're going to really put him out. Well, guess what? For the last 3 years, you haven't done it. And I'll tell you a little hint before that. 10 years prior to that, I was here, and I'll still be here for another 10 years while you're collecting Social Security somewhere and eating donuts on your couch and getting fat because you know what? I am still a good old American boy, and you just keep running your mouth. And at the end of tonight's match, we're going to see who's the real man still standing.
Awesome.
There we go.
You got questions for him, Keith? Because I've been talking for a half hour.
Well, what's been happening is anytime I have a question, you bring it up and you kind of answer it there. I mean, being a champion as long as you were, and I think that's something that's kind of generational too, right? I don't think all of the young guys necessarily look at titles the same way as, say, I would as a fan or as somebody who respects the history of the business, like I know you do. I mean, how do you view that when you get it? Yes, you're handed it, but isn't there a sense of like it's an award, it's a recognition of how much you're trusted and how good you're doing?
I look at it this way. I did whatever they asked me to do for my first how many years here. I busted my ass, and like you said, it was a reward. I earned it. Mm-hmm. Any way you could say it, I earned it. It wasn't just given to me because I had to go through hell to get it. That's the way I look at it. And these companies flip-flopping titles every month. That's not earning. You're just putting it on a title. You're just putting it on somebody that might be able to sell 20 tickets.
Yeah, it annoys me.
Yeah, that's not a champion. And I'll give Cage credit. He's held the belt for a while. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to give you something else, Cage. You are a tough little bastard. I'll give you that. But you know what? You're still getting your ass kicked tonight.
There you go. Absolutely. All right, so finish this sentence. The greatest wrestling match of all time was
Randy Savage and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Dude, that's the best
from
answer.
WrestleMania 3.
That's the best answer I've ever heard in my life. When are you going to recognize?
I've never disputed the amazingness of that match. I'm a Taker guy, though. I'm also a Shawn Michaels guy. And, I think WrestleMania 25 is right up there in that conversation.
Good match, but I still say Steamboat and Savage. 19 different pinfalls. You ever count the different pinfalls?
It was 22, actually.
Was it 22?
Yes, okay. Sir. I'm a Macho Man historian.
As big a Macho Man fantasy is.
Yeah.
He's absolutely counted.
22.
Okay.
All right.
One of the best matches. That's the best match of all time.
And the reason why I agree with you is because the build up to that match, let alone what they actually did in the ring. You're talking about two of the greatest of all time, Steamboat and Savage. Whenever Savage wrestled like Flair or Steamboat wrestled Flair, they were some of the best matches of all time.
Yes, sir.
You put those two guys in the ring, plus the idea of he put him out of commission for a few months and he came back and the whole story. And then inside the ring, I mean, the reversal after reversal was back and forth and back and forth. It was like, I think it was like 20, 25 minutes long where they just never stopped. There was never, they weren't holding each other down for like 5 minutes ever during that match. It was just constant.
Steamboat actually had three really good feuds in the WWF. He had a great feud with Jake the Snake Roberts, if you guys remember.
Yeah.
And he had a really short feud with Don Morocco.
Yeah.
But those were his three best feuds, I think. The guy could just work it. But Savage and him together, phenomenal.
Gold. It was gold, and I wish they revisited it because they had a chance to do that, and I don't know why they didn't do it. They never went back to it. They never I don't know if they didn't get along or not, or I don't know that story because WrestleMania 4 was the next year, and they were both in the tournament for the title. And if they both won their matches in the first round, they would have ended up wrestling each other. And they avoided that on purpose.
I believe what I heard that Steamboat is a real family man, and him and his wife were just having a baby. Had a baby, or were
they just had the kid because he brought him out.
Yes, and that's why Steamboat he wanted to have less of a schedule.
Right.
And you know, when you got the strap, Vince is gonna push you.
Well, he wasn't Intercontinental Champion anymore.
Wasn't
he had dropped it to the Honky Tonk Man.
That's right.
But they could have had that match. Like Randy could have went over it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know. I have no idea. Didn't Steamboat lose to Valentine in that?
Yes, yes, it was Valentine. So in the second round, in the first round, Macho Man wrestled Natural Butch Reed, and then the very next match was Steamboat and Valentine. So I'm thinking, as a fan, because I was a kid watching that live, so I'm thinking, oh my God, we're gonna get WrestleMania 3 all over again. But he lost to Valentine, and I'm like, okay, so we get Randy Savage versus Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Well, I wonder if some of it was Steamboat. I'm trying to remember when Steamboat went back to Crockett.
I think he went back shortly after.
Yeah,
so
right.
That might have been playing.
But if he was leaving anyway, why not just have that match?
Well, I also know, and I mean, this is Ric Flair's book, and this is what Ric Flair said. So
he reads like every book.
Yeah, so
that's why he's the professor.
Obviously, it's a secondhand source. But I know Flair said that Steamboat was really irked by, with the Mania 3 match, Savage made him rehearse it.
Yeah, that's what I heard about Savage. He liked to run everything down.
Right, and he actually,
crazy, right?
Like, had Ricky come to the house, they had like a ring or a trampoline or something.
He had every move in that match
right.
written down exactly how it was going to go all the way to the...
And Flair said it kind of hurt Steamboat, because Steamboat was like Flair. He was a bullet, the ring guy, and didn't love the whole having to rehearse everything. So I wonder if maybe there was a conversation where, hey, we'd like you and Randy to do a match, maybe not as long as Mania 3.
Randy went in.
Maybe Ricky said, I didn't have a good time the first time.
Randy went into that match.
So
Randy went into that match hoping it would steal the show, and it sure did.
Yeah. See, a lot of guys have to go over their stuff in there. A lot of guys, you know, if I have to go out and do a 20-minute match, I'm going to miss some. I'm going to do it right now. I say, you know, I like to call. I give me a beginning, give me the end.
Right.
Maybe a
fill up
little something in the middle that we can remember.
Right.
Everything else, we'll just call it the hell out there, you know.
Yeah. So Brickhouse kind of slipped in over there, Keith, and brought in your gear behind you there, so just to let you know.
This show day.
Well, I thought for a second there he was going to join us. Like, you know, he got close enough where you didn't even know he was in the room. He literally was right there where I could see him in the background of this camera shot.
Oh, that's being a manager. That's being a true manager.
So tell me your affiliation with him. How did you meet him? How did you get involved with him at all?
Well, I met James going to like autograph signings and stuff, and just talking to him and stuff. And he started going to shows and stuff, and he started ring announcing. And ring announcing or reffing, I forget. I'm sorry, it was reffing.
Reffing, yeah.
Me and actually, Monica, this is a funny story. We're going to a show for Autumn Breeze at Mount Harmon. And I don't remember if Autumn got a call saying her ref didn't show up or something like that. And she goes, James, you want to do it? And James didn't. No clue. So as we're driving, me and Monica start saying, listen, all you got to do is remember, count 3. If the guy doesn't get his shoulders up, it's on him.
Right.
To get in the corner, count 5. You know, just doing the basics. He wound up refereeing almost the whole show that night.
Awesome.
Yeah, and
natural trial by fire.
And he hooked up with Dino. And he was doing the reffing and then the ring announcing, and then one thing or another, he got hooked in with Wyndham Winthorpe. He was with him for a while, and then he had a fallout with him. And one night I gave him a call, he gave me a call, I don't remember what it was, and I said, hey, what do you think about me and you doing something? I said, you have nobody, I don't know what they're going to do with you. So he gave the pitch to either Dino or Paul, and that's how we came together.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the time where you speared him.
Yes. Because
fans have asked me to ask that question to you when I finally have you one-on-one like this. So tell us what happened there, because if you hear, we've heard Brickhouse's side of the story where it was a moment of frustration, and and it was, you weren't sure if you were going to still associate yourself with him or not, but like
he had obviously gotten with us in a moment of frustration and hurt and anger, said some things I'm sure he deeply regrets now.
Which you didn't say.
Talked through that.
Yeah, we talked through it. Well, with the whole match going on, he didn't even know I had a hurt shoulder.
Right.
So I was working the match with a hurt shoulder. I'm trying to get through it, put on the best match I can. And he, at the end, if you hear him, he's telling me, I told you.
Yeah, I heard him.
I'm, at the time, I'm just trying to take care of everything else. And I just got tired of him talking. Like, every relationship, you can't hit your wife, or anything, but you can walk away. Well, James is a man. I'm hitting him.
Right.
So, and that's how the spirit came. And we talked it out, and we got back together. There you go.
Awesome. So the last thing I got for you, brother, is realistically, you had this conversation with me at the last show because you were in the ring with one Malcolm King, and he splashed you, I believe, 3 times at least.
There's actually 2 splashes and an elbow drop.
Right. And you said to me, man, every next time I do this, it hurts a little bit more. Because he's a big boy, and that's taking those splashes is a big thing. So realistically, how long do you think you can do this?
I would like to do it another couple of years yet. Mm-hmm. I'd like to do it another couple of years. If I could get another 2 to 5 years in, I'd be happy. And if this tonight would be my last match, I'd be happy too, because you know what? I worked a lot of good guys. I've had fun in this business. I took this business seriously, but sometimes I didn't have to take it seriously because I was an old man getting into this business. I knew at my age that WWE wasn't coming home for me. So and this is where me and Cage, I'm giving you credit on this one, Cage, that me and you can be alike on this. When I worked for Triple WA, I busted my ass every time. Hurt or in good shape. They always got the best I could do.
If you could give advice to the young talent out there, because we do that a lot on the show. In fact, guys usually chime in. We're not live right now. I'm recording this. So if you could give some advice to the young talent, because they're not able to chime in right now and ask you a question, what advice would that be?
Take it easy in your career. Don't go through 1,000 moves where you're going to mess your back up, mess your knees up, because you only got one back. You can get your knees replaced, but just remember, you get your knees replaced, it could end your career. Right now, I know when I retire, I'm going to need both of my knees replaced, and I'm going to need a hip. That is from 20 years of playing football, and I've been doing this for quite a long time. I take my bumps and bruises, and I give it to the young guys. I said they're phenomenal athletes, but slow it down. Have a long career. Don't have a short career. If you're doing that frog splash every night, it's going to kill your knees.
Sounds like you, Keith.
Yeah, you're not going to have a long career. We had a kid that worked here a few years ago, Ty Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Great kid, nice kid in the world. He was 19 when he started here. Right? He used to do the frog splash all the time. I said to him, kid, pick a different finisher. I said, it's going to kill your knees. I said, it's going to kill your knees. You're going to get hurt. I seen him a year later. I was 20 years old. He's dipping around. I said, what's wrong? He goes, man, my knees are killing me. I said, do you remember what we talked about a year ago about you doing the frog splash every time?
Right.
I said, this was going to catch up to you. He changed his finish to something else. I don't know what he's doing, but he changed his finish. So.
Awesome. The last thing I got for you, brother, is you've been here 10 years. You've gotten in, obviously, all the guys respect you. They trust you. We talked about that before. Looking at the talent that Dino uses nowadays, is there any guys that kind of stand out to you a little bit more than the others that you could see, those guys could actually, be on TV every week?
Yeah, Ken Andrews is one of them, actually. I've wrestled Ken Andrews 5 times. I love Ken to death. Good worker. Me and him have no chemistry. He actually, this is the funny thing about Ken. I tore my MCL and ACL on the same knee 4 different times.
Wow.
We actually worked our last match that we worked together. I tore everything in my knee.
Oh.
It was 5 minutes into the match. He goes, let's take it home. I go, no. I said, let's finish. We're gonna run through everything I could. So I tried to go on with the match. So why he wound up pinning me, I couldn't even get on. My knee was blown up before I even got out of the ring. He actually helped me out of the ring, helped me get back to the back, and that's what I call a true professional.
Cool.
He's one of the guys that has it. He can talk. He can wrestle. He knows how to interact with fans.
Right.
And a tag team, the Atkins brothers.
Yeah.
They should be there.
Phenomenal athletes. Phenomenal.
I'm actually an adopted Atkins fighter. When I think Rob got hurt.
Okay.
I actually filled in for his spot a couple of times, so I got to tag with him. So I'm like an adopted Atkins to the family. I'm their big brother. So
that's awesome. Yeah, like we can't thank you enough for this interview, Roadblock.
Thank you guys.
It's now 6 o'clock, so I don't want to hold you up because I know you got to get ready. Yeah, but man, what a run that you've had, and I hope it continues as long as you want it to. I hope tonight you just enjoy the moment. I said this to Cage earlier on a preview show. You know, good, bad, heel or not, I just hope you guys enjoy this moment with in my book, one of the greatest of all time, and Shane Douglas. I just wish you nothing but the best, brother. I know you're a good guy. I know you're a good guy, and I really appreciate you coming on around the turnbuckle and telling your story. If there's anything that we missed or didn't go over,
yeah, maybe we could do a part 2 sometime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell you how actually Roadblock played football and stuff.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. We'll do a part 2. Maybe.
Absolutely, man. But like, I saw the clock hit 6, and I was like, all right, man, we gotta wrap this up. But I appreciate you. And Keith, you got any parting gifts?
Yeah, I just appreciate you sitting down with us. Like Al said, you were one of the more requested interviews that we've got.
Oh, okay.
People want to hear your story. They want to hear about you. You know, you are a hometown hero here in Quakertown, and we appreciate you. We appreciate what you do, that you're still going out there and you're giving it your all to entertain us. So thank you.
Oh, no, thank you guys for being out there. If it wasn't for guys like you keeping some of this old guys, relevant, we'd be dinosaurs, because these young kids don't want to do this old time stuff. And old time still sells whatever place you do it.
Absolutely.
If you're watching this, guys, this is the Roadblock Chad McCoy. We are in Quakertown. And if you want to come down and see him wrestle the final Saturday of every month, they put on a great show here, and he is usually one of the headliners. Roadblock Chad McCoy. I'm the big Albowski. That's Professor Keith. This was Around the Turnbuckle. Pleasure, my friend.
Thanks, guys.